Is this thing on?
Don't
Hello,
do
everybody.
that.
Welcome to another episode of Moonhawk Studios Presents. As I'm killing bugs, I'm your host, Mac Paladin. And with me in the studio, as always, is my good friend Adam.
Hello.
Kevin's in the house.
Hopefully
Unmuted.
with a lot unmuted and hopefully a lot less echoey tonight as compared to previous weeks.
Clarity sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
We got Petty Fan handling the technicals.
It's my party and I'll cry if I want to.
Careful, we don't want to trip the algorithm.
It's fine. My singing's so bad, I would actually be impressed.
Yeah, just be careful. That's all. Yeah, because we don't want to get taken down by Sony or something. God forbid.
Well, anything by Water Tower will get ignored because if you challenge it, so. Good old Warner Brothers, they are so busy cutting costs that they don't even seem to care what you do anymore.
Yeah. It's not
Anyway.
Warner I'm worried It's not Warner I'm worried about. It's Sony I'm worried about because they are aggressive.
Anyway.
Well,
apparently some of the contribute to Stream Deck
mm-hmm.
are also in violation of their TOS. So I'll get to that in a second here. And of course, we have the Golics.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I'm still here.
A little too real there.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great show for. God damn. Bastards. Yeah.
What happened now? Oh boy.
Bug.
Oh boy.
Anyway, we have a great show for you tonight. But before we get to the meat of the operation here, let's get the news. Adam, what's cooking?
Not much this week. Just really extensions of what I talked about last week. That's still ongoing. It's like warranty company still dragging its feet. Blah blah blah. Yeah, not my mess, but it's still kind of hovering over every interaction I make with my brother.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's a treat to behold.
it really isn't.
That's the joke.
I'd rather drop all this if it's all the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess that's Kevin.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I don't have much of anything to talk about, and probably won't for the foreseeable future unless we're here during Memorial Day week, which I probably won't be here. But but there's literally nothing much going on around here. So, Petty, what's going on in your world?
Well, today is my 33rd birthday, and also my twins,
Woo-hoo!
because that's how twins work.
Woo-hoo!
Didn't get a whole lot this year, just because mom between jobs and whatnot. I did get a new skillet, because I'm the one who cooks. So I now have something that's non-stick. And then, my dad got me a new chef's knife. Mom has mentioned that she wants to see about getting us some more stuff after she gets employed, which is very fair and reasonable. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else, and there really isn't. It's been a quiet week so far.
All right. Galaxy.
Well, I had a very stressful weekend last weekend because my mother has been cleaning the windows. And she decided to clean the windows inside my room, and in doing so, she unplugged some monitors from both my computer and my work laptop setup, which at first, because she was not able to tell me if she'd like done it, she even said she didn't think anything came out. I thought that like some of my ports might have gotten broken. But it turns out that, I don't know, maybe just the HDMI and DisplayPort ports on my motherboard aren't supposed to be used, and you're supposed to use the ones on the graphics card. But anyway, I eventually got my monitors back working, but for a long time I thought I was going to need to get a new monitor, or at least new cables, which was going to be a pain. Though we do actually have another monitor that I'm thinking about trying to switch to. It's significantly larger. And anyway, in the process, there was rearranging my desk a bit and getting a bit of a lecture about not letting as much dust build up in my room. But I don't know. They're not wrong about that, but it's easy for them to say.
Well,
So yeah, that was kind of frustrating. And then because of that, I missed out on some of the stuff I'd been planning on doing on Saturday, like going to the Digimon pre-release. And then I have a whole bunch of stuff to do this week because it's getting to be May, and in May is when my family is doing that trip thing, so I have to... Hopefully this weekend I'll be able... I was hoping to set up my laptop last weekend, but I guess I'll probably be trying to do that this weekend. Have to schedule oil change and stuff for my car. And a couple other things, so... Overall, just been a little bit stressful and tiring, and I feel like a bit of an idiot because I was so stressed out that I wasn't able to, figure out the actual solution to the problem sooner. So yeah, that's about it, I guess.
all right. Well, if you're only killing bugs, then they'll kill you right back. But in all seriousness, spent a good portion of the weekend laying down new flooring in the bedroom, finally. You may notice that I'm hitting the cough button less because there's less toxic mold and mildew floating around my apartment.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a whole thing where, it's like people love to say, "Oh, well, that's illegal," and it's like, if modern politics has taught you anything, what is legal and what actually happens are two completely different fucking things.
Increasingly, yes.
Oh, well, if you file a complaint with the city environmental division, they can't retaliate against you. Yes, they can.
Yeah.
It's called a pocket veto.
Pocket line item.
In 15 months, when my 18-month lease is up, and I say, gosh, I know you guys suck, but I want to renew because you did finally take care of all that stuff after I brought legal action against you. They can say, we'll get back to you. And then my lease expires. And then they rent out my apartment to somebody else and tell me I have 24 hours to vacate. While the sheriff supervises. That's kind of how things work.
Yep.
So it's like until I'm prepared to move, and there's not. I mean, we live in slumlord America. To where the landlords basically have all the leverage because they own all the property.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nowhere else I can go that would be significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the serenity prayer, give me the strength to deal with the things I can deal with and not worry about the things that I can't. I'm paraphrasing, of course, obviously. But
Mhm.
but it's a little like that. I do embrace the serenity prayer on a regular basis. And and so I just do what I can instead of worrying about what should be.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't super expensive. I spent about $100 on materials. Um, I've been pilfering vinyl flooring remnants from the dumpsters for a couple of years now. Every time they redo an apartment, I'm like, oh, they threw away some expensive flooring materials. I'll do that. Repair them in the kitchen myself. Oh, you want me to do a Google review? No, you don't. Yeah. I had to completely redo a bathroom wall once all by myself. That was fun. Not in this apartment, but in a different one on the same property. And so I think I've done a pretty good job considering the fact I have zero practical experience doing vinyl flooring. And I just got a pre-cut roll over at Lowe's, and I got the glue. And I kind of half-assed it because, why whole-ass it when the apartment complex apparently hires one company to do everything. Oh, we need Mudman. That's a reference to a 1990 movie called Mr. Destiny that I very much doubt anybody in this room knows about. In the movie, the main character played by Jim Belushi is having his driveway done, and he has this contractor named Guzman who's always asking him for another $1,000 for everything. He's like, oh, we can't fix your driveway without Mudman. We got to have Mudman come and remove the mud. So he's constantly upcharging him. there's a whole TikTok called the upcharge guy that covers this exact kind of shakedown, if you will. Which is again why I do a lot of things myself, as long as it doesn't require, code approved construction. In which case, I would not hire day workers standing outside the front of the Home Depot, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they do fine work, and I'm sure I could save a lot of money, but I'm just not that guy, But yeah, they actually brought in. So apparently, the landscaping company here at apartments. Notice how I redacted that.
Mm-hmm.
The landscaping company does concrete and flooring
Mm.
and entry level plumbing. And I'm like, well, because they're licensed and bonded, because they say so. I feel like, it's kind of like in this state, the service dog laws are so nebulous that you could literally throw a vest on any dog and call them a service animal and get away with it. And I feel like that's the way with general contracting here in Arizona. It's like the landscaping company also does concrete and vinyl flooring. So the maintenance personnel here do not, when they redo an apartment, they do not do patching of the concrete or fixing cracks in the slab or putting down vinyl or carpet. That's handled by the landscapers because that's completely logical. So yes, I figure if they're going to bring in the landscapers to do the flooring and do a half-ass job, they literally just glue it to the concrete. They don't do any preparation whatsoever. They're like, oh, put the stuff down, put that in there. I mean, on the surface, it looks nice. It lasts about 6 minutes, and then the edges start to fray, I've tried to get them in here to fix the edges. That's why the flooring remnants that I've been acquiring have been such a boon for me, is because I just cut out the affected section and replace it with a strip that I found in the dumpster, and I'm good to go. They don't know the damn difference. Although I do need to get a straight edge so that way I can finish the job. There's a couple of corners I need to fill in. But yeah, that's, and I nearly injured myself doing this because I have so much stuff that it's impossible for me to move it all out of a bedroom all by myself. So I can redo the flooring and then move it all back in and still live in my apartment. So I had to keep shuffling it from one side of the room to the other. So I laid down the vinyl on one side of the room and moved all the stuff to the other half. And then once I got it all put in place, I put everything back on the other side of the room. And then put down some more. So all in all, I probably permanently injured myself because as much as y'all complain about the 30s, wait till you're in your upper 40s waiting for the 50s.
Oh, my dad's in his 50s. I can totally see where that's gonna happen.
And my dad
Trust
was
me.
like, "Oh, I didn't even have arthritis pain until 59." And I'm like, "Dad, you had two blown out knees since your mid 40s. So don't even start with me about this. Oh, I didn't feel any arthritis. What's this cracking of your knuckles?" I'm like, "Dad, good-natured gaslighting is still gaslighting." And it's kind of an oxymoron. So, don't do that. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're 78 now, so let's not get into that.
Yeah.
The whole harumph thing. Because I'm almost 50. And I've fallen off of if there was a gondola to bang my head on, or an object to fall off of a shelf, or a ladder that I could stumble down at Best Buy, or Bookman's, or Computer Renaissance, or anywhere else that I ever worked, if there was a way for me to have a slip and fall and bang my head simultaneously while folding my knees underneath myself, that's what I did. So it's a miracle I'm still alive and vertical. But fucking bugs. Tippy, why don't you go get getting these bugs? Stop worrying about your nephew out there. Tippy's nephew, Inky, is laying up against the back door on the outside. And so he's sitting there fussing because there's another cat there, completely ignoring him. Uncle Tippy. He's a biggin. But yeah, so that's what I've had mostly going on, and trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my taxes. And before I ended up not going on my trip this past weekend to San Diego. That's going to be postponed for 2, possibly 3 weeks. So, but I at least got all the shit out of my living room.
Sure. There you go.
So now I have a line of sight to the front door again.
There you go.
Other than that, there's not much going on. Still working on plans. I got to get more. I got to. It is this endless battle of getting more solar batteries and a better inverter, so that way I can have things like refrigeration and an oven. Every time I plug in the mini fridge, the inverter goes. So, yeah, and that's sad because I have 5 solar batteries, and apparently it's not enough storage to run the mini fridge. All right, so that's about it for me. I think I don't think I have anything else that I want to talk about right now. Could always do an episode of Uber Diaries, I suppose. but everything's been relatively calm lately. So I guess we'll just have to move on from here. All right. So guest tonight is tonight's guest tonight is tonight's guest. So I'd like to welcome Bert Schepler of Bert's Tabletop Games to the program. Bert, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me out.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I run a website called Bert.games. It's where I review board games. I do interviews of people who design or, just industry folks in the board game industry. And, report on some news here and there, go to conventions, tell people what's going on with board games. And in the daylight hours, I'm a network engineer.
All right. Well, then let's get right down to the brass tacks. Adam,
Yeah, sure.
You're up, buddy.
All right. Let's see. So, when you say board games, what kind of board games? Do you have a particular focus, like German style board games? Anything published by Hasbro? Somewhere in between?
It's so I'm all over the place when it comes to that, especially on the website. So I do a fair amount of like independently published games. So a lot of stuff you'll find on Kickstarter and whatnot. And then I do work with like bigger companies and review their games as well. So I would say I do everything from light to fairly heavy games. Mostly hobby games, which is less what you find like on the shelf of Target and more what you'll find in a local board game store. So that's kind of the gambit I run. I also do a lot with role-playing games as well, too.
Like tabletop role-playing games?
Yeah, like Dungeons & Dragons, GURPS, and other role-playing systems like that.
Right. And how long have you been covering board games and tabletop games and role-playing games?
Yeah, so this is my fifth year doing it. It's my pandemic project because my daughter was born in November 2019. I started this in January the following year. So having a newborn wasn't enough for me. I had to start doing this.
Like, interestingly enough, you're doing it via a blog, which is not all that in fashion these days.
Yeah, it stands out a little bit from like all the social media stuff that's out there. I know a lot of people are into TikTok and YouTube for board games. I personally don't like to be in front of the camera that much. If you see any of my social media posts, some of them look like I'm proof of life of a hostage, but I'm getting into the flow of it now, so it's coming a little more natural. But the first few videos, I'm like, I like board games. This is a board game that I like.
Here's my review of Apples to Apples.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I started, I didn't start out as like a review site. It was more of a traditional blog. I was just gonna go through and tell people about games I'm playing. It reminded me of like the last bit of time you guys spent like talking about your guys' lives. I was just gonna hang out and talk about board games and what I was doing. And I had it in my brain. I have a lot of board games, like before I started this. And my goal that year was, all right, I'm going to do game nights regular, and we're going to play through all the games that I own. I'm going to tick them off one at a time and blog about it. Well, we all know what happened in March of 2020 is we weren't playing board games at anyone's houses right then. So it kind of shifted, and then eventually people started reaching out and asking if I could talk about their board game, and that's kind of how I got into reviewing and interviewing people about board games.
And you also seem to keep up on the news of board games as well.
Yeah, and now that I've got a lot of contacts out there, like the news comes to me, like I get a lot of press releases in my inbox, just talking to people in the industry, like, you get a feel for what's going on and what's important to talk about. Like these days in the board game news, and I'm sure everybody else's news is tariffs. Because a lot of the board games that everybody has on their shelf or on their table, they're made in China for the most part, because they had cheaper labor, and then everybody moved to it, and then they've actually built a very good industry around it that we just don't have here in the United States yet. And so, if it costs $10 for the publisher to make the game today, or last year, it's going to cost them $24.50 now all of a sudden. And games are just sitting in China waiting for the tariffs to go away or go down, or Kickstarters are not happening. A couple companies have gone out of business already. It's kind of messy out there, and it's something consumers need to know about. So it's an
Certainly,
interesting story to tell.
like it's definitely been a news story that's been engulfing a lot of industries. But yeah, I've heard a lot of concerns about board games in particular because all the sourcing is from China. Like, I've heard. I'm not sure how hyperbolic the statements are, but this could end up shattering the entire industry.
Yeah, I mean, if I do some of the math in one of my articles, and it increasing the cost to the publisher that much, they don't make that much on the game. So they're either going to have to eat that, or games are going to pretty much double in price. So like that, $40 board game is now going to be $80, and then nobody's going to want to buy that, like for $80 all of a sudden. So purchasing is going to go down as well. Or companies are trying to eat the cost as much as they can, but they can only do that for so long.
It's not helped by all the uncertainty around the tariffs themselves. Because it's not like it's consistent or rational or anything. It's like, one day they're 20% tariffs, the next day it's 165% or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
and that's why you see these companies like not doing a Kickstarter, because they can't operate under those like conditions. Like you can't be like, well, my game could cost $10 or it could cost $30. I don't know. So like they're just opting out at this point. Or like there's one of the publishers that makes Gloomhaven. They produced like $1.2 million worth of games that is just going to sit in China for now. Now, they are also selling the game globally. So, like, they're selling the game everywhere but the United States right now. And the U.S. copies are just going to sit there until they can figure that out.
I mean, one solution I've heard proposed is like shipping them to, say, Vietnam or some other country and importing them there, because you know, once again these
Yeah, but there's
tariffs.
still no actual good solution.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it still is a big cost as well.
right.
You got to double ship it. But
It's
yeah,
just if we are like Vietnam's tariffs are not nearly what they are in China, and the unstable orange bastard doesn't seem to be particularly focused on that country right now.
yeah. It's definitely things that people are looking at doing, and oh, maybe we can import it to Canada and just repackage it and then bring it in, or just import the raw materials, and then box it yourself or something.
Yeah, well, as you said, there's no good solution here because the tariffs affect the raw materials.
Oh yeah, you have these huge supply chains that are built out around it now. I mean, the example is board games, but it works for a lot of industries too. Like a lot of things get made in China, and you got raw materials coming to China or being sourced in China and then exported back to the United States. And you can't just pop up a factory like tomorrow that does this and have the expertise to do it, let alone the supply chain to get all the raw goods there to do it.
Well, yeah, that is subjected to so much fantastic thinking. It's not funny, because it's not just it doesn't spin up overnight. It doesn't even happen in a couple of years, and that's coupled with even if you have a factory over here, the actual costs of development are so much higher. That's why this stuff originally shipped out to China in the first place.
Yeah, the labor costs are much higher here. Taxes are higher. We have environmental and workforce conditions that we have to meet that maybe they don't have to meet there. There's a lot of things add to the price here, and
Right.
as a society we chose.
I had one of the chuds say the quiet part out loud, and they're like, the new factories aren't going to have human labor; they're going to have robot labor. Like a lot of the Amazon shipping centers are all robotic with like a half dozen employees making sure the robots don't run amok.
I mean, do they know how automated factories are these days, just in general? Probably
I
not.
know, but this is what they think is going to happen. They're not bringing the jobs back to America. They're trying to make it so that their overlords can pay robots and have hazardous working conditions that nobody has to worry about because OSHA doesn't go into a factory that doesn't have humans in it.
Right.
Right,
AI will solve everything and all that.
They can have them work 24 hours a day and not, and aside from some general maintenance every now and again, they don't have to worry about overtime. They don't have to worry about child labor laws. They don't have to worry about environmental regulations that affect, human bodies and whatnot. It's a nightmare. It is truly an eldritch horror made manifest.
Yeah,
It's iRobot, and the robots are going to rise up, and they're gonna Terminator us all.
I mean, that kind of ignores the fact that AI is a lie, and it's never going to do what they think it's going to do.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the nightmare scenario they're trying to set up. So while they flounder around incompetently trying to deploy all of this nonsense, they're going to crater America in the process.
Yeah, it's just
Which
gonna
we're already seeing.
it's gonna do irreparable harm to many industries.
Yeah. Oh, just give it time, and it's like, no. You see, when we see you swerving towards the tree, giving it time means you come into contact with the tree forcefully. If we don't act now, the course correct. But whatever. MAGA's
And-
gonna MAGA.
For now, at the very least. I mean, look, things are already starting to unravel. It's
Yeah,
like,
there are people who've lost their jobs already because of this, and like
Yeah.
companies that have folded and just gone away.
And we haven't gotten to summer yet. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's really going to start kicking in May and June because we've seen the images out of ports all over the country of it being empty. That's going to start to kick in probably in May, probably around towards Memorial Day and early June. That's when it's really going to kick in.
yeah. All the inventory that people have on hand in the States is going to start running out.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And
Yeah,
you're going to see empty shelves. You're going to see empty shelves, which is something we last saw during COVID.
Yeah, we'll have toilet
And-
paper goblins again.
Yeah, and we'll have gouging, and there'll be nothing to stop it.
yeah, it's a time of high anxiety.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's basically been buying stuff now to avoid the high
I mean,
prices.
I had 119 items, and I whittled it down to 87 in my shopping cart on Temu a month ago. And I checked it last night, and there is now 16 items. The rest of them are either unavailable, discontinued, or sold out.
Mm-hmm. That'll
And
probably
all
be
the
zero
items
within a couple weeks.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get a few. I'm trying to get a few items for my solar setup because I'm off the grid. Because fuck TEP. But that's a whole other story. But I'm trying to get it in some solar batteries because they have some lithium batteries for half the price of getting them at Batteries Plus here in the States, and they're all listed as being local warehouse. And I don't know how long those will be there. Be
Yeah,
buying
I
up
just saw
old
an interview with
inventory.
the CEO of Ford, and he was saying how like sales have gone up quite a bit in the last month, and he thinks it's people just anticipating the cost going up.
Mm-hmm.
oh my,
It's
But
it's stocking up. It's beating the price hike because
Yeah,
the prices are never going to be as low as they are now. And once May kicks in, because once the inventory starts drying up, they're going to have to jack up the prices and compensation. And well, that's where the fun begins.
what? Now, there's been questions of what's going to run out faster and what's really going to be affected. Like, food is actually going to be less affected because,
Yeah, that'll take longer.
well, it's also we get a lot of that stuff from Canada and Mexico, and they're under less tariffs right now for that particular item. Like I said, remember this stuff changes on the day. Like I think,
well, were you paying attention though to the Canadian elections though? Because PM Mark Carney basically said that the era of interdependence between America and Canada is over, and that they're going to be pretty much canceling contracts both ways.
Yeah, there's going to be a
Okay.
big nationalistic push up there. I think starting.
okay, how do I
relatively
put
quick.
this? Talk is cheap. It's like,
Oh,
yes,
I would not discount his talk. I would not.
Carney ushered the UK to Brexit.
let me finish because okay, it's easy for the Canadian PM to say that the era of interdependence is over, yada yada yada. It is a whole different thing to actually put that into practice because what he's not.
They've already made renewed deals. They've already made renewed deals with China, Mexico, and the EU.
That's not what I'm talking about. Because that what's being downplayed here is the sheer amount of trade that goes on between America and Canada.
Hey, weren't we
If-
talking about board games? The guest?
Yes,
Well, it's going to be kind of hard if we don't have Canadian lumber to turn into pulp.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Anyway, Galix, since you're our, I don't know, resident board game expert along with Petty here, are there any questions you two want to ask our guest?
I didn't have too much specific. I mean, sorry, I did have to step away earlier. So I missed. So you do reviews of board games and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of your favorite ones that you've reviewed recently?
Always a fun question to answer. It's like, what is your favorite child?
I mean, I'm not saying you have to pick one or go into great
No.
details like some of them.
No, one of the ones actually that I reviewed recently, and I have a 5-year-old daughter, and she loves it, so I love it too. It's called River Valley Glassworks, and it's got these like tactile plastic pieces, but they look like glass chunks, and it's about collecting different sets of them. It's a real fun game. And then
That looks neat.
yeah, it's a good one. And then another one is Flip 7. My wife really likes that one, so we've been playing that one like out at the bar, and like it's easy to put in your pocket and bring with you. It's just a fat deck of cards. It's kind of a spin on like blackjack.
So you do include things like deck building card games in with your tabletop games and board games.
Yeah, so the running gag this year is I stopped playing Magic in like the 1990s,
Mm-hmm.
and I got invited to MagicCon this year, and then my daughter started playing it, and she enjoyed playing it, so I guess I'm back.
Interesting choice of time to get into it,
Yeah.
considering there's a bit of upheaval going on in certain formats.
Mm.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I haven't delved deep into it yet, but I'm sure there's always controversy with Magic cards, like which ones are banned and which ones aren't, and which ones should be, and which ones shouldn't be. And like when I was playing back in the 90s, like there's just the way to play Magic,
But now you can have SpongeBob in your deck.
Right? You can have
Well,
SpongeBob
thankfully, at
attack
least
a
those cards are
Transformer.
mechanically unique.
Yeah,
But yeah.
But still, if you would have told somebody even from 15 years ago that they could have SpongeBob in their deck, they'd look at you like you grew a third head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had me at like Lord of the Rings and like Doctor Who. I was like, well, that's interesting.
Well, yeah, I think everyone agrees that some of the Universes Beyond stuff fits in better than others of it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, they're just.
And then there's the tragic thing with the Marvel thing where, oops, sorry, we didn't actually get a license to do that digitally, so we're going to have to make different versions of those cards for our digital client.
Yeah.
Have you played Azul?
Yeah, that's a great game.
Okay, I'm looking through this River Valley Glassworks game, and it reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually a lot simpler than that, but yeah, it's
Well, no,
similar where
yeah.
you're collecting rows and columns, and you want to score more rows and then your 2 highest columns.
Yeah, and it doesn't have as
It's
much
not like the
strategy
matching
regarding which things you can pick up. It looks like.
Yeah.
Anyway, it looks. No, my sister likes to play board games a lot, so when she's up, we do that. And she had a kid recently, so I'm starting to look for some kid-friendly board games, even though none of them seem to have ages that go much below 2 or 3. for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, we started with a lot of the Hava board games for our daughter.
Yeah, I think I got a couple of those for Christmas last year.
Like My First Orchard's a really good one for the youngins.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a game I reviewed recently too that had like posable like figures,
Mm-hmm.
and they had like magnets on the bottom of them, and the board was a wrapped metal, so like they stuck to the board, and you
Interesting.
can. It was a fencing game too, so like you would like play a pose and then move your guy to do the pose, and then you could measure if you would hit the other guy or not.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. I've never seen a board game quite like that.
Hey, do you have anything while I think of other things?
Not really. Board games aren't really my thing. I'm more of a TCG player. I think the last board game I played was like Sorry back in the day.
That's a good game.
I'm sad to
So,
say
yeah.
the only board games I've been playing lately is 4-dimensional chess with some of these MAGA fools on X.
I do this. I have a
What's
question. What is a roguelike board game?
Ah,
There you go. So that is a fun little like snippet of like history, I guess. So like, there's a game called Rogue. I think it was published like in the early '80s, and it's kind of just a dungeon crawly game where you try to get through the maze and take out the creatures along the way. And if you died, you went all the way back to the beginning. There was no like starting over
Mm.
at a save spot or something. And so like board games glommed onto that, and there's like a whole like section of games that are roguelike games, and they're the thing with Rogue is the level was randomly generated too, I believe. So
Yeah.
every time you played, it was different, and it's not like you could learn the maze and then run through it. You would have different scenario every time, and so there are some board games that have like random setups. If you die, you die, and you're out. That kind of thing. So it's kind of what Rogue board games are. Roguelike board games are.
Well, that just confirms to me that roguelike elements have gotten officially out of control.
It's actually almost impossible to properly procedurally generate a board game thing. You have to like actually randomly generate it.
Yeah. So like a lot of those games are like tile based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you like have a stack of tiles that you shuffle up, and then you play them to build the dungeon or whatever.
Yeah. Because technically speaking, rogue like video games, they're pseudo random. That's why they
So is the original Rogue.
Right, but there's a distinction here between procedural generation and actual randomness.
Right, the procedural generation has an internal logic to it.
Mm-hmm. It's also
Right.
because one of the dirty secrets of computers is they can't do actual random things.
Yeah, actually doing random numbers is actually a very hard thing for a computer to do.
Yeah, it has to be based on usually an irrational seed.
Yeah.
And then run through certain permutations.
which reminds me, I did promise 4 years ago that I was going to play Time Stalkers on stream. They have the dungeons are never the same twice.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like-
with an actual board game, you could use actual chaos theory randomization of okay, so put the tiles in the hat and shake it, and
I mean,
Right,
yeah,
and that's
I
that's
think
how
that's
they do it, basically.
I think that's how Carcassonne operates.
approximately, yeah.
Yeah, it's more procedural though because you're using logic to like lay out your
Right.
tile in a certain way.
Well, how
To
you
score.
lay it out is procedural, but what is
Right.
available to you can be actually manually randomized.
Yeah, I think in that one though too, you draw 2 and play 1 maybe. It's been a while since I
I
played
think so,
Carcassonne.
but they're like face down, right?
Yeah,
Just like in Azul, like you still you choose which dish to pull your tiles from, but the tiles are supposed to be placed on the dishes actually randomly.
exactly. Yeah,
That
That's
that
how
doesn't
that-
mean there isn't a limited number of possible things. There are only 4 colors of tiles and 5
Right.
things in a dish, I think. But
yeah. It's mathematically possible to have the same thing out there.
hmm
Like, I suppose this also begs the question: what sort of roguelike board games have you been playing recently, if any?
I mean, the big hit in our house that would fall into that. There's a game called Betrayal at House on the Hill, and
That's a good
so
one.
yeah, that one. It's you're walking through like a haunted house basically, and it has different stories. So there's like a basement, first floor, second floor, and an attic. And you draw tiles based on wherever you are. So like the back side of the tile tells you which places it would work. So like a tile might work for the first floor and the basement, but not the attic or the second floor. And then you just draw down to the tile that'll work for wherever you're at in the haunted house. Play it, do the thing on the tile. But that one's kind of fun because about 3/4 of the way through the game, like you're exploring this whole thing. There's a curse on the house, and like as that sort of flushes out, you unlock the haunting, and usually one person turns into the bad guy, and the other people turn in. They're against that one person now. So now it's a one on many kind of game
hmm
with so, and that's kind of random, like who gets to do that, like depending on like the conditions that you entered the haunting on will tell you who gets to be the bad guy, the traitor, if you will.
Right then. So, how do you go about reviewing a board game anyway? Like, what's your criteria for what makes a good or bad board game?
Well, so my philosophy with the games is almost every game, like there's somebody who wants to play that. It might not be my bag, like it might not be the thing I want to pick up every day and play. And so when I keep that in mind when I do my reviews. You'll if you look at my site, you'll know there's no like 5-star rating system or anywhere in there. Like what I do is I'll take the game, I play it a bunch of times, and then I my basic format is like give the background of the game, tell people how it's set up and how it plays, and then like tell people what I think about it. Like, and it's not usually like a critique. It's more of a. I mean, there's some things that you can critique, like the components aren't so good in this game, but it's a cool game, and if you like this kind of game, then you'll probably like this game. So it's more like a matchmaking thing that I'm trying to do. Like find the person who wants to play this game, rather than like
That's definitely
say,
helpful because I know that that's one of the things that I sometimes have a hard time getting a feel for is whether my family will like playing a certain game, even though it looks like one I would like.
yeah, and if you go to like a Board Game Geek or something like that, they have like ratings on there, but they're kind of skewed sometimes based on like you know the way the wind is blowing that day. And I try to stay away from that. I try to just play the game, get a good feel for it, and then let people know what the game is about and how it plays. And that's just kind of how I roll with my reviews.
Sounds good enough. Admittedly, we don't review board games, so a bit hard for us to judge on rubrics of that nature.
Do you ever
But
do legacy games? And if so, how much of them do you do before you feel competent to review it? Because that's always been something I'm like, okay, but
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, and also like in the way you talk about it too, because you don't want to give away like anything that would impact the game. So you almost have to play the legacy games all the way through just to like know I can talk about this and it won't like ruin the surprise at the end or whatever. You know what
I
I
guess
mean?
it might help if it's a variant of another game that already exists. So you could say like if you play regular Catan,
Right. You might like this because it does this and this with the tiles. Yeah.
for
But
those who
yeah.
are less familiar with it, legacy board games are games that come with basically rules for keeping track of certain things that happen each time you play the game, and then going forward, those change. Those change how things change the rules going forward.
Yeah, it's usually a lot of them are one shot through kind of thing. Like you're playing the game and then like the game will instruct you, okay, tear up these 3 cards. You no longer need them anymore. You put stickers on other cards or on the board itself to like modify it as you move along. And then there's other variants, like when you get to the end, you can still play the game as the modified version that you've modified. You can still play it like a normal game. So those they're really cool. They're more of an experience than like a game you would play more. I don't
If
think
I had
people
a
would
group of
play through it many
friends,
times.
if I had a group of friends that I played games with regularly, I would probably do that. But since I have more of a family thing, and like my parents are a little bit older and not quite as sharp about complex rules, it would be harder to explain why things are different than before to them.
I guess have you
Right.
looked into like getting these like modeled to like be able to use in something like Tabletop Simulator to like branch out so people who don't have access to people locally can still play this with friends just in an online environment?
Yeah, for sure. Like, so I use Tabletop Simulator to. I'm part of a board game design group where we play test games, and a lot of people use that Tabletop Simulator for that, especially like coming out of COVID, like nobody could meet up, so we were on Tabletop Simulator quite a bit. And then it's Tabletop Simulator. I like it, and there's a bunch of different things, simulators that are out there too, and they're all great. They're all pretty good. But what they do is add time. So like if a game is going to take you like an hour, it's probably going to take you closer to 2 hours to play it on tabletop.
Yeah, it's definitely
Unless
one of those
it's programmed
things,
very well. Yeah.
But I guess, if it takes you 3 hours to meet up, then you're still, coming out ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Like my usual game group is a couple guys I went to high school with and a couple of their college buddies. And one guy's in Michigan and the rest of us are like 30 miles apart in the Chicago area. So for sure we use like tabletop simulators. We use like Roll20 and stuff like that to role play. So and there's a lot of cool stuff out there to like broaden your game group and
Right.
play with people you normally wouldn't.
Indeed.
Now, shifting things a bit, what's your poison in terms of role-playing games?
I am all over the place when it comes to playing role-playing games. I started playing role-playing games with GURPS, so that's kind of got a soft spot in my heart for that.
Well, I
And-
suppose that's an easy way to make it so that you're never worried about the rules of a new system being too complicated.
Right. It really sets the bar high for rules. And for you guys who don't know about GURPS, it's there's literally a rule for anything you can do. So you want to use like we're playing a GURPS Star Wars campaign right now. So if I want to use the onboard computer, I need to have ship operations computer or ship operations navigation, like depending on which thing I want to do on the computer.
It's the generic universal role playing system,
Yeah, exactly.
and leans heavily simulationist in terms of
That's to put it lightly.
Yeah.
what you're trying to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, so
The way I like to say it is GURPS is more like Linux and D&D is more like a Mac. Like you don't have so many knobs to turn on a Mac to but like a Linux you can change. Now I know that Mac is using Linux on the back end now, but like yeah.
I'm torn between appreciating what I perceive as a negative comparison to D&D and pointing out that the current version of D&D at least does actually require you to make up a significant amount of the rules in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Much like Linux.
And I guess that makes Rifts the Windows of role-playing games.
I think Rifts is GURPS based.
No,
like
Rips is
Palladium.
its own thing.
Yeah, Rifts is very much its own thing.
It's a
Okay,
it's a
I
web
might have
role-playing
gotten
system.
my things crossed at some point.
Mhm.
It's also
Palladium. Palladium is the Windows to
Yeah.
yeah. Riffs, much like GURPS, has a lot of like books and like source books to it.
The difference
But,
being that Rifts does actually theoretically have a setting that it's based in, whereas GURPS is designed to be able to be used for anything.
Well,
Right.
Rift is kind of close to D&D in that idea. Probably second edition D&D at that, because there's the main setting, there's Rifts, and then there's all the other RPGs that Palladium publishes, published, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG, the Robotech RPG, which is compatible with the Rift setting.
Hmm.
It's
Well, conveniently, there's Rifts, so that you can like
mhm.
go to.
we can always
places.
just split the difference and play FASA.
BattleTech's more tabletop.
There's a BattleTech role-playing game though.
But I mean, FASA's FASA and BattleTech, but more Star Trek.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It's just when I think of FASA, I think of BattleTech first. I know they've done other things like Crimson Sky.
Try to send my Lochnar class up against a D10,
Mm-hmm.
a Klingon D10 battlecruiser. Things that only exist in the FASA universe for 1,000, Alex.
Indeed. Do you cover any sort of tabletop role-playing games, Warhammer and the like?
So I'm a recovering Warhammer player.
Oh no, you poor fool. How many properties do you have to mortgage?
You spent your life savings on pewter investments.
Tabletop
so,
wargaming is the one thing I've never got into because my experiences with painting have historically been bad.
I have lots of gray miniatures. So
Okay, that's fair.
I
If you have friends that
yeah.
don't get on your case about that.
Yeah, nobody else. Like all my friends are like, grown men with children, so we all like, yeah, we're no judging for not painting. But like I played Warhammer way back when, in the 90s and early 2000s. And you know, I did not like having to have a lawyer with me when I played that game. Got expensive.
That brings me back to high school. I'm not sure if it was this thorny, but I definitely remember some Warhammer campaigns that could get lawyery.
Oh yeah, rules lawyering and min-max. What we used to call twinks before that term got co-opted by a certain other marginalized group.
Indeed.
Thank you, 8-Bit Theater, for educating me on that.
Now, anyway, interviews. So, who have you talked to in these various industries in recent times?
So I've talked to a lot of people who are doing their Kickstarter campaigns. So different designers, other people like who do podcasts and stuff. Like it's actually a funny story. Like so my wife came home one day. She's not a heavy board gamer by any means, and she came home and she's like, "What's an 18xx game?" And I was like, "What? How are you asking me this question right now? That's so weird."
Your eye starts twitching and she knows, oh no.
Like, how did you know what that is? Like an 18xx game is like it's a train game where you're building out railroads, and it's got an economy based around it. So like you're investing and divesting and like trading stocks along with that. And I'm like, so I was like, yeah, I know what that is. She's like, oh, this guy I listened to, his podcast, he was talking about it. I'm like, what podcasts are you listening to? And she's like, oh, it's about Real Housewives. And I'm like, I'm lost at what you're talking about right now.
Talking about a different 18xx.
No, it turns out that the guy who hosts her like Real Housewives recap podcast, he also hosts a board game podcast. So he's got a foot in each, and so on a whim, I like emailed him. I'm like, "Would you do an interview?" And lo and behold, that was some of the more interesting stories with the interviews. But yeah, I like talking to people. Like, tell me about your game. Tell me, why you're doing this.
Why game?
Yeah. What came? Why did you come up with the idea to make a game about distilling beverages? Like random like stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting to talk to people and like, especially creative folks, and like why they want to do something and like what made them push through, and then like it's a little self-serving as well because I am I fancy myself to be a game designer, and I have a couple things in that I'm working on, but also ask them like, what are the big gotchas that you had, so that I can learn from you.
It does bring up an interesting question. Have you dabbled in trying to create your own board game, or one of the other things that you cover yourself?
Yeah, so I have a couple things that I've been on and off working on for a while. And they're completely unrelated topics, but completely like describes me. So like I'm working on like a small card game that's based on rugby. I played rugby for 10 years, so I'm excited about that. And then I have a game called Connected that I'm working on that's basically a simulation of the early 2000s telecom companies. This is pretty dry material, but it turns out to be like an elevated, like you're like making connections like you would in Ticket to Ride, but it's like an elevated. I wouldn't call it exactly Ticket to Ride or like based on that at all. It just ends up looking like it because in the United States, all the fiber lines are on government easements that happen to follow all the rail lines. So the map kind of looks the same. And then I have a third one that I was working on. It's called Meowie Cat Mess. And that's like a Christmas tree decorating game where the cat comes in and knocks the ornaments off the tree while you guys are decorating the tree.
That sounds personal.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's based on a true story. I was standing by the Christmas tree one day, and it was when our daughter was real little, and so we had like a baby gate around the tree, and the cat was standing on the baby gate, like leaning on the tree, like knocking stuff off. Like, oh, that's interesting that he got up there like that, and the creative gears got going.
Nice. So I suppose my final question at this stage is, what do you have upcoming for your blog in terms of content?
So this is kind of the time of year that's things are just starting to ramp up. So over the summer, I'm kicking around the idea of doing a U.S. history through board games. So just like games that highlight moments in history related to the United States. Just kind of painting a picture like through board games. And it's not necessarily like Monopoly would be part of that because it's a game designed around a woman designed it back in the day called the Landlord's Game, and then there's a whole story about how it got stolen. But it's A, talks about like a historical thing, B, it's an interesting story, and C, everybody knows Monopoly, and so it's kind of foundational to like board games, especially in the US. Like everybody plays Monopoly at some point in their life, whether they like to or not. But then like other games will be in there, like Votes for Women, a game about like the suffragette movement. So
which is a real board game, by the way.
Yeah, it's a really good board game actually. And then there's another one I want to put in there, Burn the Fort, which is a game designed by Native Americans about it's like the reverse view on colonialism.
So kind of the anti-risk or something along those lines.
Yeah, sort of. It's not like a dudes on a map kind of game, but it has a powerful statement, and it's from a less heard from voice, so it's important to have as part of that collection.
Hmm.
But there's also like some harder to talk about like topics in there that actual colonialism or slavery and stuff like that, and like I'm still wrestling on how I want to exactly address all that and bring that to light, because we live in heightened times, and it's not an easy topic to breach.
No, yeah, that's going to be a heavy topic, no matter what the times are.
Yeah, it's not easy to begin with, but yeah, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I'll see if anyone else here has any further questions for you.
I think
No, I'm good.
I think I'm good too. Yeah.
All right. As our final follow-up question, then do you have any events or special things coming down the pike that you would like to promote?
Well, I always want people to come visit my website. It's bert.games. It's pretty easy to remember. I do, if anyone listening is in the Chicago area, I host a game night the last Thursday of the month at a brewery called Sound Growler in Tinley Park. So people are invited to come out to that, and that's kind of it.
All right. Well, Bert, I want to thank you for coming out to the program tonight and spending some time geeking out about board games and tabletop RPGs and stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I think that takes us into our next segment. Adam, what's going on in the world of entertainment?
So this week we're leading off in a unusual spot, mainly because I don't think we've talked about this on this program, or if it was a while ago. But we have to go mobile because
Oh boy.
yeah, this is less to do with the entertainment industry writ large and more to do with Apple.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh, boy.
this just broke a couple of hours ago. Because there's been a new twist in the Epic Games versus Apple saga.
Oh,
Which, yeah, I know it's been a while since I think anyone heard anything about this. But
damn you, Z-Bucks.
I mean,
Yeah, I saw this posted just a little bit earlier.
yeah. But so the gist of things is Epic has succeeded in getting Apple ban from charging a commission on purchases made outside the App Store. Or rather, Apple succeeded in getting Apple to get that blocked because, according to Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers, who's been overseeing this since, well, the initial trial back in, I think, 2018 or 2021, apparently, like whatever year it was. Apparently, Apple has been doing everything and anything it can to circumvent the initial injunction from her original 2021 ruling. Quote, that Apple thought this court would tolerate such insubordination was a gross miscalculation, which means, yeah. So Apple violated Rule 1 of the justice system. coincidentally, it's the same thing that the Trump administration keeps running into.
Yeah, I was about to say
And that is-
TLDR. They played fuck around and find out. We're now entering the find out stage.
No, they pissed off the judge.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, because turns out judges do not like having their fucking orders defied, no
They
matter
don't like
what.
they don't like to be insulted.
Yeah, it's like, judges are very self-important people, and they take their rulings with the utmost seriousness. So, Apple willfully non-complying with the injunction that came out of that ruling is going to carry.
The term would be flout.
Thank you. But so what's actually the new ruling is the is that customers make
You dropped out
outside.
just as you started that sentence.
Bloody hell. All right, am I back?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Apple cannot impose any commission or any fee on purchases that consumers make outside an app, restricts developers' style, formatting, and placement of links for purchases outside an app, lock or limit the use of buttons or other calls to action, interfere with customers' choice to leave an app with anything beyond a neutral message apprising users that they are going to a third-party site. Yeah, the big one here is
why anybody's playing Fortnite on an Apple device in the first place is beyond me, but
Because
Here we
we're in the era where people don't necessarily have computers or consoles anymore, especially for the younger generation.
right, but here's the thing: we actually have the statistics on Fortnite, and they're really not playing Fortnite on mobile devices. Hell, I think Apex Legends and PUBG are more popular on mobile, and that has a lot to do with its distribution in Asia.
Hmm.
Like PUBG is absolutely huge in like India and China and other countries where they are very mobile first gameplay.
Also, something Tencent is involved with PUBG.
they tried to sue. They tried to sue Garena over Free Fire, which is like 500 million strong in South America. I thought that was funny because God damn it, Free Fire is basically the same style of game, but they're making more money than us, and it's a crappier looking game. That should be illegal.
Oh, but it gets worse for Apple because they are like the judge is considering referring the case to the U.S. Attorney's Office for criminal charges, specifically perjury.
I mean,
Fun.
Yeah. Not for Apple, but fun
No,
for
not
everyone.
for, yeah, for everyone else, yes.
Yeah. And
a good time was had by everyone else.
yeah, because I'm trying to find which executive lied under oath. It's one of them. Live research and all that. Let's see. To do. Here we go. To hide the truth, Vice President of Finance Alex Roman outright lied under oath. Which, yeah.
Whoops.
that's
I'm
not
like,
good.
Well, there goes that $3.3 trillion market cap.
There goes one of your
Um,
executives to prison.
Yes. Now, mind you, we
and
are. This is probably one of the reasons why Tim Apple has been trying to bribe Trump.
it's
Uh-huh.
Tim Cook.
He's not been subtle about it.
No,
He's not been subtle. No.
no. But here's the thing with Trump: he's not reliable.
You mean the
No,
old
really?
man who may have dementia isn't reliable? Shocking.
Yeah. Also, this may result in like criminal charges not being pressed. But what's going on in terms of the lawsuit has nothing to do with any sort of governmental agency.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? He totally had MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles.
And that also
totally
means
not
the pictures floating around of him sucking Elon's toes are also real, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. Are you kidding me? If it's in photographs, it must be real. I mean, what kind of rube are you? It's,
Yeah.
that was
I know.
sarcasm.
No, it's like
Was not-
why did you have to bring up that picture?
Because it's
Ever?
demeaning and degrading towards Trump.
And also, it exists.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have to note it.
Let's-
Otherwise, you know.
But let's spend 15 minutes dying on a hill that a photograph that was obviously photoshopped wasn't photoshopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
Epic Games CEO Tim Shithead Sweeney,
Ah,
I do not like this guy, and you know the way he went about this lawsuit was fucking bad.
It was not in good
Mhm.
faith.
Mm-mm.
no, which is what got ruled. He got ruled against in a lot of aspects on this. By the way, but
Done with the grace and decorum of upper management at Activision.
I'm like, he's about that fucking bad.
Mhm.
Anyway,
That also was the joke.
following the ruling, the company will bring Fortnite back to the U.S. App Store next week. That's not, I don't think exactly that's what's being offered up here in terms of the actual ruling. Just that, if you're using an outside payment processor, Apple can't steer you away from that.
Mm-mm.
As far as I know, Epic Games is still banned in the U.S. from being on the App Store.
I don't
Sorry,
remember off
that-
the top of my head.
But say, for example, Pokemon Go has been offering minor incentives to purchase your shit on the web store instead of through the app.
Yeah, I'm like,
Because of the stuff that they just ruled they
Right.
can't do.
but very specifically, Epic Games got ruled against in the initial ruling. I distinctly remember, the court said that Apple can keep them off their store because of all the bad faith shit they did.
Mm-hmm.
The Trojan horse, unclean hands.
Right.
So no, Tim Sweeney, you're not coming back to the App Store yet.
So more jailbreaking and sideloading. Yo ho, Pirates Life for me.
Yeah. Apparently, Sweeney is offering a quote-unquote peace proposal, i.e., settlement. If Apple extends, quote, if Apple extends the court's friction-free, Apple tax-free framework worldwide, will return Fortnite to the App Store worldwide and drop the current and future litigation on the topic. Apple is not doing this, by the way.
Apple is probably
senior
laughing
director-
at them.
No, they're not laughing, but they've got a boilerplate statement here. Apple Apple's Senior Director of Corporate Communication, Olivia Dalton, sent a statement to The Verge that reads, "We strongly disagree with the decision. We will comply with the court's order and we will appeal." That last part is the biggest thing here because this will be appealed to the Ninth Circuit, I believe. None of this Epic versus Apple stuff has hit the Supreme Court yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Boy, help us all if that ever happens.
right, but a major win for Epic right now. But
Mhm.
since these things are on appeal, now it's like it's not going to be stayed because well, once again, Apple has been found to be in violation of the initial injunction. So they gotta do the things that have been outlined in the court ruling now.
Well, they've also been in violation. It's not something. It wasn't one of those things like the thing that was put on them was impossible. Say,
Yeah.
they did it. They violation in bad faith, like they actively being malicious about it.
Yes, that is unless one of the higher courts rules on a stay, which can happen, especially in terms of routine stays. You know, they call them routine administrative stays. So, but yeah, you know, big ripple effects to come out of this, no doubt. Because this puts the United States, but like I said, I still
Lost everything
don't,
after the
United States. Not sure what happened there. Like I said, this brings the United States closer to European laws for Apple and Google and such.
Oh no! Don't say that too loud. You'll make the red-hatted morons freak out.
Yeah, and as far as the reaction outside the Apple, or I suppose inside the Apple bubble, you know, the people who make apps and shit for the Apple Store, they are very elated because
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Because they're no longer going to have to pay 30%.
Yeah, I was about to say for some of the bigger apps, this is costing them literal millions.
Or 27%. Like, although how much people will take advantage of third-party payment processors is hard to say. Because that's one of those things that takes effort. You know, it's why Tim Sweeney wants to actually settle with Apple and get Fortnite back on the actual App Store, because the discoverability of that versus sideloading is astronomical.
Oh yeah.
You know, no matter what Epic Games is trying to do with the Epic Games Store,
convenience is a huge economic factor.
That's kind of why I don't use Spotify. Go ahead.
That and the algorithm always pushes the most popular games, so of course that's more eyes on the prize.
Yes.
Like, simplicity is why we have Google Play Music and not Spotify, because Google Music came on our devices. I don't have to try and teach my parents how to download Spotify whenever we change our phones. Google Music's just there in the Google Suite.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that'll about do it for entertainment news this week. I know just the one thing, but it was a big thing.
Yeah. And it didn't really fit with fragments either, so...
No, because this is this is bigger than video games.
Right. It just was caused by a video game, but yeah.
Although I did want to say that the Spotify, G Suite, and YouTube Music are all now pretty much bundled with Android phones since it's all Alphabet Corporation, who owns the patent on Android.
I didn't have it on our S22s when we got them, so.
Well, I had them all on my S23 from Verizon, so. So, all right. Well, I guess that brings our general show to a close. Of course, next week we're going to have Joey Galvez of the Geek Collective on this show. And Adam, if you would expand on that, please.
Actually, I have to put an asterisk on that statement you just made because, well, the interview is up in the air right now. It's kind of directly quoting him from my conversation with him a few hours ago. Sure, let me look at the schedule when I get back. Headed out on vacation, won't be back until mid next week. So, yeah. So that might interfere in our plans. All
right. Well, then, if that's the case, then we'll have an Inside the Studio episode where we'll probably talk about the Rockford Technologies retro encabulator.
Or movie night.
Yeah. Or another episode of Square One TV.
Sure.
All right. Again, special thanks to our guest from tonight, Bert Schepler of Bert's Tabletop Games. Thanks for being on the program. He's still in the chat. I don't know if he's listening now. We'll see you next week, whatever happens. Till then, I'm your host, Mac Paladin. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.